Hi boys and girls, it's Marci Chavalas and it's story time. Today we have a story called America, a Patriotic Primer by Lynne Cheney. I'm excited about this book because it goes through every letter of the alphabet and reminds us a little bit about something that has to do with American history. This book is an AR book for all of you AR readers. It is level 5.8 for those upper readers, and it's worth half a point. It's quiz number 61251. Are you ready to read? All right, let's grow. A is for America, the land that we love. I lift my lamp beside the golden door, Emma Lazarus. Oh, beautiful, for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam undimmed by human tears. B is for the birthday of this nation of ours. On America's birthday, there ought to be pomp and parade. John Adams, our second president, wrote to his wife Abigail, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore. It's like all these people are celebrating the 4th of July and remembering our nation's birthday. Get the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. C is for the Constitution that binds us together. The Constitution has been the framework for our government for more than 200 years. Let's explore a little bit more about the Constitution. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights are kept in the National Archives building in Washington, D.C. today. And here's Washington, D.C. and some of the important landmarks there. D is for the Declaration that proclaimed we were free. The Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, declared us to be a free and independent nation. John Hancock was the first to sign the Declaration. He wrote his name large because some say he wanted to be sure the King of England could read it without his spectacles. E is for equality. The Declaration of Independence established the principle that all are created equal and have God-given rights to live, to be free, and to pursue happiness. Over the years, more and more of us have been able to enjoy these rights equally. There's lots of really cool facts all around that you could read if you purchase this book. It's a really great and interesting book, all about folding a flag, who created the flag, about our national anthem. Very cool. F is for freedom and the flag that we fly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. G is for God in whom we trust. Freedom to worship as they chose brought people to America. Freedom to worship as we chose sustains our country today. In 1620, the Pilgrims sailed to America in search of freedom to worship God in their own way. After they had crossed the vast and stormy ocean, they drew up a plan for governing themselves called the Mayflower Compact. The Pilgrims' first winter was very hard, but in the spring, Native Americans of the Wampanoag tribe taught them how to grow corn and catch fish. After a successful harvest, the Pilgrims invited the Wampanoag to join in a feast. Today, we think of their celebration as the first Thanksgiving. H is for heroes and I for ideals. Heroes remind us of our nation's ideals and how important it is to live up to them. Pioneers, firefighters, U.S. military, police, teachers, elected leaders, doctors and nurses, astronauts. Some heroes we admire from afar, others are part of our lives every day. Can you identify the ones that are part of our lives every day? Yep. Firefighters, military, police, teachers, elected leaders, doctors and nurses, that's right. J is for Jefferson. In 1776, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. He was the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and our third President. Here's some more information. Let me dig over here. There's even information all around the sides to explore. The Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, written by Jefferson, was a forerunner of the First Amendment. Jefferson's home was Monticello, which he designed and lived in most of his life. Jefferson invented many things, including a plow and this copying machine. With the Louisiana Purchase, President Jefferson doubled the size of the United States. It was a bargain at less than 3 cents an acre. The University of Virginia, designed by Jefferson, was one of his proudest accomplishments. K is for King. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for justice with prayers, peaceful marches, and some of the most powerful words our nation has ever heard. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Let justice roll down like waters. Thousands of people, led by Dr. King, marched from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama in March 1965. They helped convince Congress to pass a law ensuring that African Americans could vote. After being jailed for a peaceful protest, Dr. King wrote Letter from Birmingham Jail, in which he declared injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Because he fought violence with peaceful protest, Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He was only 35 years old. And look, so here's people marching, and they are singing an important song. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. This is the song We Shall Overcome. Very important song in the Civil Rights Movement. An important song to remember and commemorate that today. L is for Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, guided our nation during the Civil War. He was determined that we would continue to be a single nation. Lincoln's children, Tad and Willie, were the first presidential children to live in the White House. I happened temporarily to occupy this big White House. I am a living witness that any one of your children may look to come here as my father's child has. Lincoln, born in a log cabin, grew up to be known as Honest Abe. When Lincoln was elected president, Southern states left the Union and the Civil War broke out. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved African Americans in the Confederacy. M is for Madison. James Madison, our 4th president, was so important when our nation was getting started that he was called the father of the Constitution. He was primarily responsible for the Bill of Rights. Let's look at some information about James Madison. James Madison's wife, Dolly, was gracious and brave. During the War of 1812, she gathered up important documents and a painting of George Washington before she fled the advancing British, who set fire to the White House. Madison studied governments of other times and places to get ideas about how our own should be formed. Madison was one of the authors of the Federalist Papers, essays that helped convince the states to accept the Constitution. In the streets outside of Independence Hall, Philadelphians waited in the summer of 1787 to see what kind of government Madison and the other delegates had decided on. "What have we got?" a woman asked Ben Franklin. "A republic," he replied, "if you can keep it." I love all these really interesting facts. There's so much on each page to learn. I hope you're enjoying it. N is for Native Americans who came here first. All these really cool and interesting Native Americans. Let's read about some. Oh, here's a lot of the different tribes. There's so many different tribes. Let me just read a few of the names. Pomo, Pueblo, Mohawk, Sioux, Choctaw, Blackfoot, Onondaga, Iroquois, Apache, Algonquin, Crow, Tillamook, Wichita, Chumash, Oneida, Seneca, Ute, Pima, Creek, Chickasaw, Pawnee, Caddo, Pequot, Comanche. Let's learn about some more famous Native Americans. Pocahontas, daughter of Powhatan, helped the colonists at Jamestown. Jim Thorpe of Sac and Fox heritage was one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century. Navajo code talkers World War II Marines used their native language to send coded messages. The Japanese never deciphered their transmissions. Maria, tall chief of the Osage tribe, became a prima ballerina. Ben Nighthorse Campbell, one of 44 chiefs of the Northern Cheyenne tribe, is a U.S. Senator from Colorado. Sacagawea, a Shoshone woman, guided and translated for Lewis and Clark as they explored the West. Tecumseh, a Shawnee leader, with his brother, the Prophet, organized Native American nations into a confederation. Sequoyah, a Cherokee, created an alphabet for his people. Very cool accomplishments. O is for the oath new Americans take. According to one estimate, more than 40% of Americans living today have an ancestor who passed through Ellis Island, the entry point to America for millions of immigrants. I hereby declare on oath that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. That's from the Oath of Citizenship. P is for patriotism that fills our hearts with pride. Q is for America's quest for the new, the far, and the very best. Ooh, here's some more really interesting facts. Louis Armstrong, jazz trumpeter, singer, and band leader. Here's Althea Gibson, tennis champion. Orville and Wilbur Wright, the first successful powered flight creators. Here's Benjamin Franklin, inventor, scientist, and statesman. This is Thomas Edison, inventor of the light bulb, motion picture projector, and phonograph. This is I.M. Pei, world-renowned architect. Martha Graham, a modern dance innovator. Babe Ruth, a baseball legend. Emily Dickinson, groundbreaking poet. These are all people who helped move our nation forward with their contributions. There's tons more that you can read about all around the sides. So many people. I see names like Jonas Salk, Marian Anderson, Stephen Crane, Luis Alvarez, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Yo-Yo Ma, Helen Keller, Amelia Earhart, Jackson Pollock, Walt Disney, Roberto Clemente, Albert Einstein, so many more. R is for the rights we are guaranteed. Our basic rights are set forth in the Constitution and its amendments. The first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. Here are some of the rights that we have, and here's pictures depicting each one of them. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, right to keep and bear arms, right to trial by jury, right to vote. S is for suffrage. In 1848, in Seneca Falls, New York, women began the long struggle for suffrage, or the right to vote. In 1920, their voting rights were recognized all across the nation. Look at these awesome women who helped contribute to women's suffrage. Lucretia Mott, Lucy Stone, Alice Paul, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Esther Hobart Morris, Amelia Bloomer, Carrie Chapman Catt, Sojourner Truth. Well, let's read this over here. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. Declaration of Sentiments, Seneca Falls, July 1848. It's important that every one of our citizens gets to enjoy the freedom that our Constitution provides. T is for tolerance. Free to think and believe and pursue happiness in our own way, we recognize the right of others to do the same. U is for United States. Our country is big. Our people come from every part of the world. But different as we are all part of a single nation, the United States of America. I love this. This is beautiful. Look at all the different types of cultures and celebrations and people all around that make up our nation. Let me look at some of them. Here's someone under 2 kids over here with Hanukkah, 8 days in December, menorah, dreidel, Mardi Gras, the Tuesday before Lent. Looks like these are celebrations that are important. We've got Veterans Day, November 11th. Easter falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. We've got Kwanzaa, President's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Chinese New Year, Ramadan, St. Lucia's Day, Cinco de Mayo, Day of the Dead, Christmas, Diwali, Holocaust Remembrance Day, Native American Powwow, Kodomoni Kai or Children's Day, a Rosh Hashanah, Shofar, a ram's horn over here, Bastille Day, German Oktoberfest, King Kamehameha First Day. We've got Mormon Pioneer Day, Labor Day, Pulaski Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Trung Thu Vietnamese Lunar Festival in the fall, parades for the Feast of San Gennaro, St. Valentine's Day, lots of different ones to celebrate and more that you can explore. V is for valor, shown by those who've kept us free. Valor is like bravery. Look at, here are some awards that are given to the military. Silver Star, Navy Cross, Medal of Honor. Let's look at some of these. Molly Pitcher, one of the first American women to fight for freedom. That's right, Molly. She's fighting, looks like she's fighting in the Revolutionary War, or one of our early battles. 54th Massachusetts Regiment, an African-American unit that fought with great valor in the Civil War. American sailors won the Battle of Midway and turned the course of World War II. Alvin C. York, World War I, Medal of Honor. Audie Murphy, World War II. Brave American soldiers fought in the jungles of Vietnam. The 442nd Regimental Combat Team, a Japanese-American unit that became one of the most decorated in military history. This is a very famous statue. Courageous World War II Marines helped win the war in the Pacific. W is for Washington. George Washington, our first president, is called the father of our country. Brave in battle and dignified always, he was celebrated as the man who unites all hearts. Let's read a little bit more about him. A tall, dignified man, General George Washington led the revolutionary forces that defeated a much stronger foe. He presided over the Constitutional Convention, bringing the great esteem his fellow citizens had for him to the effort to create a workable government. Unanimously elected president, Washington took the oath of office in 1789 in New York City, the nation's temporary capital. Washington loved his home at Mount Vernon, Virginia, but left it when his country needed him. In 1797, after he had been president for 2 terms, he returned home to stay. Y and X. Let's see, X marks a spot. Oh, look at, here's some important locations in early America. So remember, early America only began with 13 colonies, and so they're right over here. Let's look at some of those. New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Let's look at some of these places. Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims landed. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were signed. New York City, New York, where George Washington became our first president. Washington, D.C., where our nation's capital has been for more than 200 years. Yorktown, Virginia, where the Revolutionary War ended. Lexington and Concord, where the Revolutionary War began. So here's where that is. United States of America in 1790. Y. Y is for you and all you will be in this greatest of countries, the land of the free. Benjamin Franklin says, the noblest question in the world is, what good may I do in it? What good might you do in it? Look at some of the children around here looking to develop their gifts and talents to serve. Future art critic, movie star to be. Looks like a scientist in training, urban planners of tomorrow's cities, gold medalist in the 2008 gymnastics, future conductor of the Cleveland Orchestra, future choreographer, gerontologist of the future, test pilot of tomorrow, newspaper editor to be, sports medicine specialist, future Broadway star. You can do anything. Z. Z is the end of the alphabet, but not of America's story. Strong and free, we will continue to be an inspiration to the world. Ronald Reagan says, I know that for America, there will always be a bright dawn ahead. And this is part of America the Beautiful song. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Wow. I hope you really enjoyed this story. There is so much, even in the back, more facts all about the things we read about and those side notes and captions. I hope you really enjoyed this story and that you take time to maybe even grab this book on your own. There's so much we couldn't read that you can explore. Well, until next time, I'll see you soon. Goodbye, friends.